All right. So let's see. So when I was listening to the Senate confirmation stuff yesterday, I think it was Lindsey Graham that brought up the Earn It Act, right? So that was the first time I had heard of it. Um, it was just introduced this year or so. With that, the bill revises the federal framework governing the prevention of online sexual exploitation of children. So currently, they probably have some sort of internal FBI framework that it probably looks to update or something like what it is that they can do. Probably is going to be a lot of research. It's going to be a research bill, basically. And then best practices for. So it's going to be laying down some mandatory reporting ideas to the basically anywhere that has sexual and exploitation abilities, basically. It's going to turn into these companies having to basically adhere to like a mandatory reporting requirement. And then if they're just, I mean, because this is the problem, this is like what they end up seeing, okay? They end up seeing, like, here's this little merc or something that probably has people just putting up like a picture, a nudie picture of a kid once in a while, and then nobody like doing anything about it. So the bill limits the liability protections of interactive computer service providers. So that's like where anything that falls into a social media that has any ability of uploading exploitations and grooming abilities with children, it's going to limit their ability to be lawfully justifying internal, like, a lot of companies, like, are essentially, they're able to sit behind their law division that has protections of their company from scandals and shit like that, and it's gonna limit that type of stuff. It's gonna be a mandatory reporting, okay? It just really is. It's going to be. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that these people probably would have seen similar things as me. They would have. They would have seen the similar blatant child pornography and grooming and interaction shit and all the infrastructure that goes into the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. There's a whole infrastructure that prevents. I know this personally. A whole infrastructure that prevents, even in the FBI. And so this is where, you know, the missing and exploited children stuff. I made a phone call to the FBI, and the FBI agent hung up on me twice. I made a report to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They made a case file, and nothing came. And then even down in Georgia, they have a tip line. I tested that out also. And then I got so fed up with everybody refusing to do anything that then I made a tip all the way over in Britain. And that those people were saddened by their inability of helping me, but they actually responded to me. And that they were the only people that actually responded in the whole infrastructure. The whole infrastructure of police officers and FBI agents and medical practitioners and counselors and National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, like Georgia's CPS shit. I mean, this is like what it is. And then all those people sat around calling me crazy and shit in these like dark webs and shit. And that the whole idea is that it is documented that my son was missing in my divorce proceedings. And then I have proof of that. See, a child that's missing is supposed to have a case file made on it, and none of those people did. And so this is where I have reason to believe that my child has been a victim of exploitation. And that since everybody seems to refuse to let a father who they really didn't have any reason to be restricting me from my son, they seem to not want me to speak to him for some reason. And it's basically because I keep bringing up that I know that he's a victim of exploitation. And that they seem to not want me to speak to him until I agree to never bring that stuff up. And you see how suspect that is of all of them? So just remember that when I saw people whacking off to images of my son naked and shit, that's a pretty hard image for me to like view as insanity and shit. You people basically are like preventing. And this is like where I really kind of wonder, because probably, they don't necessarily probably include my ex-wife in any of their special little discussions and stuff. And that the whole idea is that, you know what? You're not going to be able to tell me that I didn't almost have my child abducted in front of my own two fucking eyes. And that I'm perfectly of sound mind and I perfectly know what that situation was. And nobody else was there except for me and my little boy and a bunch of people that were running a swinger club inside of my townhouse complex that were running child brothels and shit next door and shit. Right? So, that's like basically like that. That right there is where just that one instance puts my child in the exploitation box. And then, for some reason, a whole in-law family that takes my child has no real reason to be keeping me from talking to him, locks out all my communications to them, and then, like 9 months later, hands me a divorce that documents their unknown whereabouts, and then basically refuses to speak to me, and then all of a sudden a divorce happens that restricts every single aspect of my access to him. All based on my wife telling me that they were going to go visit them for 2 weeks down in the South. You see, that those are what the facts are. And that is where insanity thoughts and all your guys' opinions won't really matter, because the facts are that. And I'm not going to psychologically break down from you guys and your guys' little stupid little fucking method. And that is where you guys are probably getting sick of this, huh? Constantly logical, constantly researching all the things that you people are kind of involved in, huh? Doesn't that just get under your guys' fucking skin? That I'm a massive researcher of child trafficking and child exploitation and shit? And what was it for like so many years that I was sitting there basically doing? Was I basically documenting my extreme intellectual ability and research on child exploitation and trafficking and shit? So much so that when I was homeless, I went around and figured out a whole child trafficking route. So, I have an opinion that matters. And so, all of your guys' presumed craziness, talks and shit, and all of your guys' opinions and shit, that doesn't mean shit. Okay? You people, pretty much, what I know about stupid fucking pedophiles is that they groom children to be denying that stuff. So, I know what stupid fucking pedophiles do.